Hello, everyone. Let me actually go grab Chris's phone so I can make sure that you guys can hear me.
We needed to do the song You Can't Spell Christmas Without Us. It's a classic. I mean, I'm not a surprise, but if I do this, we want it to say right back.
I'm just going to give it a minute, let some people hop on. Okay. Whew. Just give it a couple minutes, you guys. Let's make sure that we go. Just give it a couple minutes, you guys. Okay, sounds good. Cool. Let's make sure that we go. Okay, volume is working. Let's lower you guys just a hair here, just a pinch. Just a pinch. Hello, everyone. Hello. Welcome to the first test episode podcast, and So It Goes with Morgan Shay. Do be sure that you do hit that subscribe button. And if you enjoy this podcast, be sure that you hit that like button, because that is one way that we can communicate with one another and let one another know that you're vibing with what we got going on here. Also, shout out to my long-term subscribers who made this podcast episode possible. All of the podcast equipment that has been purchased over the past year was paid for by a subscriber for the better part. As far as cameras and 2 microphones and these headphones, big tech equipment I've purchased, but I did have subscribers want to get this podcast going, and therefore they supported the channel. If you would like to support the channel tonight, you can send thanks or super chats. But if you would like to support the channel and not have to pay YouTube any money, you can send me through CASHAPP at MorganShay33. Welcome. This podcast is going to be exclusively on SoundCloud after the first 5 test podcast episodes. I have 5 test episodes written out that I wanted to do first, and just to test my equipment, just see how I like it. The background that I have in mind for the podcast is not ready yet, but you know what? I'm ready to get this show on the road. You guys have been waiting long enough for this podcast to start. We had some unwanted drama last year when this podcast was supposed to originally start. So first and foremost, I want to go ahead and mention this podcast, the first 5 episodes are going to be exclusive. Well, the next 4 is going to be exclusive to my members only. So if you like this podcast tonight, would like to continue watching this podcast, be sure that you do become one of my members. There's going to be a join button down below. Click it. It's $4. I've got a lot of really fun stuff coming for those who support me in that way, because that's a very special way to support your favorite YouTubers, is by joining their membership program. I have officially made $10 on YouTube. Can we get a round of applause from all of the people. We've made $10, bitches. We're making it. We're making it slowly but surely. So, sorry, you guys. I tried to get all of my sneezes and coughs out before I started this, but you know how it goes. You know, it is what it is. I had a little crick in my throat. Welcome. I'm super excited, you guys. I'm also going to be doing some nails. I get these from Amazon. You can get a box of like, I think it comes with like 400 nails for a couple of bucks. Not expensive at all. Also, Peep the co-star George. Peep George on the side here. He will be joining us this evening. Okay, you guys, welcome. Hello, hello, hello. Tonight's episode I have had written down in my podcast journal for almost a year. Almost a year. This podcast has been in the works and something that I've wanted to do since before my YouTube channel. I've always wanted to do a podcast because I'm long-winded. You guys know this from my story times. If you are a subscriber of mine, then you know we don't have no 5-minute videos over here on Morgan Shay's page. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. We are going 20 minutes minimum. And that is facts. So this topic is one that rings very close to home for me. I have dealt with this a long time, and those of you guys who have been subscribed to me for a while know that the paranormal is nothing new to me. It's nothing new. However, upon research and just this past year in general, I have very much heavily started to investigate the paranormal world and what all different categories of, I don't want to say people, but different categories of people, I guess, within that paranormal world. Like, there are so many different types of communities when it comes to the paranormal world. It is no longer, like it was back in the day when it was like Loey Lane, and she would go to these haunted locations and, they would play with Ouija boards and all of these things. It's no longer that. TikTok is filled with witches and people who practice black magic or people who are just spiritual in general and want to communicate with that world. If you are new here, I have very much so communicated with the paranormal. My entire life, I have felt not alone. I have felt a connection with that world as far back as my memory takes me. And that kind of bleeds into another thing, is that I have memories of when I was like a baby. I have memories of before I could speak. And this used to shock like my family. Even when I was younger, I would bring up these memories of things that had happened when I was so young. And I remember my mom, one time in particular, my mom used to have this white Pontiac Grand Prix. And I remember this car so vividly in my memory. And years later, I remember mentioning this car to my mom, and she was like, "How do you know that car? You were 2 years old when I had that. How do you remember that?" And most children, they say, cross over when they're around 4 or 5 years old, meaning that typically you forget those memories. You don't remember what happened when you were a baby, when your brain was still developing. You get what I'm saying? So that is why we do not typically remember those specific memories, because we cross over, we grow up, our brain starts to develop when we forget those memories. However, I've always had a very, very vivid memory of things. And I would say around the age of 13, 14, I no longer was seeing visually paranormal. So, backstory, my nanny and pappy, which I didn't find this out until after they passed away, me and my Uncle Larry got together and sent some paranormal investigators over to their home. They told us some crazy stuff, and we ended up sending 3 other groups who all came up with the same conclusion that basically there was a gateway, a paranormal gateway in my grandparents' basement, which sent chills the first time that we were told this, because I would always see spirits down there. And to this day, I have a vivid memory of like a 70-year-old man, kind of heavy set, balded head, overalls, white t-shirt that was real raggedy and rough, and he had a pocket on his overalls with a cigar in it. I remember that vivid, clear as day. I also remember the day that I asked my pappy. I was probably about 4 or 5. Well, I wasn't 5 because I wasn't in school yet. Asking him who his friend was. And he said, "What friend?" And I said, "The guy who's standing behind you." I still have a lot of stories that come from this house and all of the shit that myself, along with all of the rest of my family, have experienced in that home. Some very, very crazy things. And oddly enough, right after me and my uncle started to do some research on what exactly was in my grandparents' basement, he passed away. It was very, very suspect how all of that happened. And it seemed like after that happened, I started to feel my uncle with me often, and at weird times too. So it would be at times when I was really digging deep to find out, what am I? Am I something in particular that makes me feel what I feel, and that I can see the things that I can see? Is there something different about me than there is the average person? Why is it that I can see these things and other people cannot? So, as I started to do this research and I started to dive into it, I fell down a very, very, very dark hole of abyss. And I want you guys to feel free to communicate in the comment section, especially if you have fallen into the hole of TikTok that is black magic, because black magic TikTok is a real thing. There are people on TikTok whose pages are getting banned. I think I read on Wall Street Journal, I still have it pulled up over there on my iMac. I think 1,400 TikTok pages a day are being banned due to practicing black magic on live or creating these videos and putting them on the For You page using hashtag FYP. Now, typically, what I have found during my research is that they will more than likely 9 times out of 10 do it on a live. That way, their video does not get banned, because chances are whoever's watching your live, as long as they don't get on the For You page, that's their core audience watching that video. And so they're into the same thing as well. Now, what is dark magic? What is black magic, dark magic, all the same thing? I originally had started doing research years ago when I had heard a YouTuber say, well, there was a bunch of YouTubers who lived in this apartment complex in LA, and they had talked about all of these YouTubers that lived on the top floor that practiced black magic, dark magic. And so I started to do some research back then, like, what does that mean? It can mean a lot of things. It can mean a lot of things, but in its core, it is very, very dangerous, because you are messing with the unknown. It is a lot like playing with the Ouija board. Some people might even consider playing with the Ouija board dark magic, because it is Russian roulette with the Ouija board. And trust me, I know I had something take a hold on me for over 8 years after playing with the Ouija board, to the point to where I was uncomfortable in my own body for a long time because I felt not alone in my own skin, if that makes sense. So, playing with the Ouija board is, in my opinion, one of the worst decisions that you can make if you are trying to indeed try to communicate with something in your home. And this is typically where this all gets started on TikTok or wherever, is someone has something in their home and they are trying to quite simply communicate. They're wanting to know, and I think deep down in a lot of our hearts, when we feel a spirit or we feel paranormal around us, we're hoping, oh, well, I hope this is so and so. So, but the thing about that is that spirit or entity knows who you want it to be, and they can pretend to be that person, which is what happened with me the second time that I played with the Ouija board. And after that, I have had some very crazy experiences, and my experiences with the paranormal have been so heightened ever since. It's a daily basis, I would say, at this point, that I feel some type of entity around me, and I never feel alone, ever. So I found this article and I want to talk about it because this is just becoming a very, very big trending topic in general. Because off the rip, dark magic sounds bad. It sounds bad. And if you're a millennial, you grew in the era of Harry Potter, right? And in Harry Potter, black magic or dark magic was bad. You weren't supposed to, you know, in Harry Potter, you're not supposed to do those rituals, so, or say those chants. So, originally my mind goes to bad, right? Just bad things. But let me read you what Wikipedia explains black magic to be. This is their overview definition of black magic. Black magic, also known as dark magic, has traditionally referred to the use of supernatural powers or magic for evil or selfish purposes. Magic is associated with the devil, or evil spirits can also be associated with dark or black magic. It is also sometimes referred to as the left hand path. So, what I have seen 9 times out of 10 and also I've spoken to my spiritual guider, who informed me something very interesting, that in this day and age, we are all just so very much consumed in ourself, and we're all, you know, out for ourselves. We all are, what can we get for ourselves? So once I started to research, I started to realize, oh, this is a selfish thing. This is like, I want money, I want power, I want sex, I want etc. It's all about like what I want. And that is very much what you see on TikTok when it comes to black/dark magic. It's people saying these chants to get something for themselves. And there is a very big gap of a difference in dark magic and manifestation. It is also a fine line that can be crossed when you are manifesting to the universe and you're, saying, I am blessed in abundance of this, and this. I will one day be this, and this. Like, you're manifesting something and chanting and doing these spells and communicating in a way that is considered dark magic. So as I started going down this hole of dark magic, I then started to find a bunch of different news clips and articles of people then bringing evil into the mix. And the way that all of these news articles word it and their verbiage is worshiping Satan or selling your soul to Satan. You're giving your soul to Satan in exchange for money or power or a career or whatever it may be. And we've seen this in the movies, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Like we've seen it in the movies before where someone sells their soul to the devil in exchange for you might be able to play the guitar better than anyone in the world. You might be the most successful actress in the world, etc., etc., etc. But what happens if you are a regular person who is big into manifestation and you're all about manifestation and you meet the wrong person? And this person gets you into dark magic and you become one of the biggest dark magic enthusiasts out there today. Today we're going to talk about that. Because this was very interesting to me when I started to research this, because dark magic has always been very interesting to me, because for me, it just seems super logical that that's something that it just seems super logical for me to not mess with dark magic. It's dark, it's evil, it's, whatever. So for me, it's like, oh, well, that's something I would never do. Let me pull up this article, you guys. So this is this girl's, I'm not going to say her name. If you were to look it up, you would be able to find it, I'm sure. But the title of this article is 8 words for the necromantic in your life. So what does this is the word. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Necromancy? I'm not sure. What does that word mean? Okay. Spirits of the dead. It's a Greek word meaning dead body or dead person. Okay. That's what the word necros means. The second part is a Greek word meaning the divine prophecy. So let's just get into this. So, number 1, conjuration of the spirits of the dead for purposes of magically revealing the future or influencing the course of events. So basically what she is doing here is she is selling you product, so to speak. I am going to help you bring someone's spirit from the dead in order to benefit you and change the trajectory of your life. It's a bold statement, right? Then she says it is a form of magic and sorcery. Okay. If you're looking for an obscure and archaic term for black magic, go no further than goeity. Necromancy can do the trick too, but why settle for less obscure and more pedestrian term? Goetry also has a related adjective, which helpfully does not recall the word romantic, as an adjectival necromantic does. Goetry is a Greek word meaning to groan or weep. It's historically contrasted with thurgery, which refers to the art of technique of compelling or persuading a god. So basically, what she starts off on in this article is they're going to use the spirit and that energy of a person who is deceased. They're going to use that spirit for their own being with these chants, and they are going to get what they want that's going to change the entire trajectory of their life. And they're going to use the manipulation and all these things. Like, it's a bunch of big, evil sounding words, right? This woman has been all over the world selling this story, right? This huge story of, oh, call in today or come to my show or buy my work, my workshop, da 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 da, and I'm going to change the entire trajectory of your life. You're not going to have to put in the work to be the biggest star in the world. You're not going to have to put in the work to learn to play guitar better than anyone in the world. All you have to do is pay me this X amount of money and I will make that happen for you. I'm going to teach you everything you need to know to make this happen for you. Let's see. We have a question from the Peanut Gallery. I love anything paranormal topics, but I don't dwell or research much because I get too obsessed with it and attract them, which I don't want. So here is a big difference in attracting that energy and researching that energy. Anytime that you go into a paranormal research dive, you need to really, really, really clear your chakras. You really need to clear the air in the area that you're going to do that research. And you need to have it in your mind the entire time you research. This is for research purposes. In no way am I intaking any of this knowledge for use of my own. All I am doing is educating myself and educating others. And that chant alone will protect you while you do your investigative work, while you educate yourself, especially if you are curious on the subject of the paranormal and what is the difference in actually communicating with the paranormal and just becoming a witch, to the point to where you start practicing black or dark magic, and bad things can really come from this, really dark things. And the story of this woman, she was very poppin' in the 90s and early 2000s, and she really thought that what she was doing, I believe anyways, I think she thought that it was going to change people's lives. I really do think that she believed what she was saying. I do not think that this was for attention. I do not think that she was pulling this from her ass. I do think that she genuinely, wholeheartedly believed what she was saying. However, what she would eventually do would be she would invite this energy into her life, and it was soul sucking. And we're not only talking about her. I'm not going to get into what happened and there, and on about her, but what I do think is important to mention, because fast forward to now, dark black magic is really, really resurfacing and being heavily, heavily, heavily talked about on social media, especially TikTok. TikTok is the devil's playground when it comes to tarot cards, people, using copper poles, people, reading your palms, all of these things. It's all over the place. And another thing that is heavily, heavily, heavily on TikTok is dark and black magic. I think it's super important that people know that can become something that you're just piddling in to being very serious and very much the center point of your life in a matter of seconds. Take it from someone who thought that they were just playing a Ouija board with their friends drunk, at 20 years old, to literally being clung to until you were almost 30. Take it from someone who knows. Take it from someone who has experienced these things. Dark magic is not something that you want to play with. And while we're on the subject of Ouija boards, I've also come into somehow scrolling through my For You page with this girl who plays with Ouija boards on live. And the people in her live will ask questions, and if you send a gift, she will ask your question to the Ouija board. I want to just say this because it needs to be said. 9 times out of 10, this girl is playing this Ouija board alone. That is very dangerous to do, and I don't even recommend being involved in that type of situation. Also, when you're in that type of gray area of paying for it, which is what this actual podcast episode is about, which we're leading into, which is paying for, your reading, or, if someone's using the copper poles on TikTok and they're doing these things. They're using a Ouija board and they're asking your questions to that Ouija board. That is you getting involved in that situation, number one, which can be dangerous. But more importantly, let's just go ahead and bridge on over into the main topic of this video, of this podcast, which is paying money for paranormal purposes or spiritual purposes on TikTok. This has become a booming business to the point that there is 2 TikTokers listed on Forbes TikTok list. 2 creators have made so much money from answering questions, from literally they have a little bowl and they just throw the little dial and it lands on yes or no or maybe, to copper poles, to reading your tarot cards and you're paying for that. All of these things. And I want to make it very clear, I am not talking about affirmation, manifestation, mason jars. I'm not talking about things like that. I'm talking about you're asking whether or not you're ever going to have a child, and this person answers your question, but you have to pay $5. That is what this conversation is about. Because I did research, deep diving research, on 3 main TikTokers that end up on my For You page all the time that do this type of thing. And looking to see if they have any type of background in this that would make them capable or even remotely, I would think, worthy enough to go on a platform where they then get millions and millions of people following them and thousands of people a night sending them gifts and sending them money to their Cash App and their PayPals and all of these things to answer these life-altering questions. And then months later, these followers come back and they're like, oh, well, this didn't happen. Oh, well, that didn't happen. It's super, super fucked and sad when I see that. But at the same time, oh, and then one of the TikTokers, I seen an apology video because so many, and she's not a huge TikToker by any means. at all. I can't think of her name, but she's got the brown hair and she switches her hair all the time and gets like weaves and stuff. She's a thicker girl. Her husband was in jail for a while and she was having people send her money to get him out of jail and all of these things. Anyways, long story short, this girl is always on my For You page, and she ended up making an apology, and she was like, oh, well, this is just for entertainment. I know I've told you guys this entire time that every question you're asking, I'm asking spirits. But now that these things aren't actually happening to you guys, now I need to tell you guys that this is for entertainment purposes only. I'm only here to entertain you. It's absolutely playing with fire. And at the same time, I do think there needs to be some type of ground rule in place on TikTok for cases such as this, because it's honestly getting out of control to the point to where this person that I was just talking about is most definitely still posting content on TikTok, doing the exact same thing in every single live. She's created so many backup accounts where people have went and reported her for said things. And then I did a little bit more research. And I remember years ago, the Bad Girls Club, I remember the SpongeBob twins, um, Gabby and Danny. They've been on so much reality TV, but Danny started to get into Danielle Victor is one of the sisters, and um, Nikki Victor. Is it Nikki? Gabby and Danny. Gabby Victor started her spiritual journey really at the beginning of COVID, and she had become close friends with one of these spiritual guiders that are very big on TikTok. They do have a following. And it has come out now after Gabby posted her video. Thousands of people, news outlets all over have spoken about this girl and how she has scammed so many people out of thousands of, not hundreds, thousands of dollars. I'm talking $3,000 for one reading type shit, like thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, to the point to where so many people were like, oh, wait a minute. This is not what happened. This isn't what you told me this was going to happen. This happened, so on and so forth. Coming out that she was actually talking badly about not only Gabby Victor, but other celebrities and bigger personalities that she was life coaching, spiritual advising, whatever, come out and they're like, oh, well, she's been talking about me badly forever. So much. And that leads into probably one of the oldest YouTube psychic spiritual personalities. Well, there you go. The psychic twins. That's what we're leading into next. Okay, so the paranormal has been a phenomenon on social media for so long because it is taboo. The same reason that girls on OF are always going to get so many views on videos is because it's taboo what they do. It's considered taboo. Same with the spiritual world. So when you have these twin sisters who are older on social media claiming to be psychic, and you have someone endorsing them, such as Shane Dawson, Trisha Paytas, Tana Mojo. You have all of these huge personalities with millions of followers saying, oh my, Tana Mojo even claimed that the psychic twins got her stalker correct. Trisha Paytas even said that she was super skeptical, but they got so much right that she got scared. Is it dark magic, or are they truly psychic? What is my opinion on the psychic twins? Because a lot of things that the psychic twins have said in the past has now come out to not be exactly true. That does not mean that they are not psychic. Lines can get crossed, certain things could change that could then make that reading change. So, say, for example, they say, in 10 years, we're going to have flying cars. Well, we might not have flying cars, but we do have cars that charge, and they could get small, minor details mixed up. It could just be a wire crossing or whatever. Or the psychic twins could be 100% full of shit. Full of shit. And after you do your research on the psychic twins and you see what they were into before Shane Dawson endorsed them, before they got big on YouTube, you realize, was it a scam all along? And then it comes out that they were fraudulent the entire time. I think by this point, we have all come to realize that Tana Mojo is not the most reliable person, because in a lot of the comments that I've seen under a lot of the Psychic Twins videos, that there was a lot of T channels that had made videos on the Psychic Twins calling them out for things that are, that were very much just not true. That once people researched the Psychic Twins and found everything out and everything came to light and everything came to the surface, you've got to then think about who it is that you're relying on. You're relying on Tana Mojo. Okay, boom. Also, every person who spoke to the Psychic Twins for the better part were friends of Shane Dawson. It's now been said that Shane Dawson talked about Trisha Paytas their entire friendship. He was very much one to just let everybody know her business and spread lies. So, do I think that for the hype, for the views, he was like, hey, have Tana on your channel. She's got a stalker. I mean, Shane and Tana are friends. Obviously, I'm sure Tana has shared her stalker's name and information with Shane, just telling him what's going on. Of course, he could tell the Psychic Twins this is her stalker. This would get the most views. Her stalker videos, which at the time were still very much popping, and she was getting millions and millions and millions and millions of views. Those story times aren't what they used to be. My stalker story alone has like 3,000. But back then, they got millions. And their video where Tana lets them say we knew her stalker's information blew up. Of course, he knew a lot about Trisha Paytas. That was his best friend at the time that he was spending at that time. That was the time of hashtag train and all of this. Of course, he knew details about Trisha Paytas that other people would not, and therefore it's going to make it look like the Psychic Twins really know what they're talking about. So, am I shocked that the Psychic Twins were a fraud all along? All along? No. But of course, hindsight is always 2020. And during the time of the hype of the Psychic Twins, did I believe them? Yes. But I don't think that I'm alone. And this is what is important about this podcast conversation. We need to be careful about who we're trusting on the internet, and especially who we're giving our hard-earned cash, coin, and money to, because not everybody has the best intentions out for us. Unfortunately, we live in a world, in a society where chances are 9 times out of 10 that person has really, really shitty, bad intentions out for you, which is really sorry and really, 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 really fucked up. Which leads me into how we're going to end this podcast. And I'm going to tell you guys what happened with the psychic subscriber who entered my life last year. Part of the reason why my podcast didn't originally come out. I owe you guys this steaming hot tea. Let me get my drink. My throat's getting scratchy, and we'll continue this on. All right, so I have all of my notes and my receipts just to make sure that I am saying everything verbatim. Also, everything that I'm going to be mentioning in this video, I do have over text message. There is no NDA signed, and I am using my amendment right of freedom of speech to share this story with my followers. If you did not consent to this story being shared about you, then sorry, you sent me text. So they're in my phone, and my lawyer has let me know that I do not need consent to read text messages and share my experience. So in March of 2020, I had a subscriber who went by the name of Addison Bay, BAY 0103, start commenting underneath my videos. That page is now gone. You can search it a bazillion times. It no longer pops up. Trust me and my lawyers have tried. At least the one that we did find is not her, it's this young girl. So she starts commenting underneath my videos. The screenshots that I have from the beginning is pretty common for like first time subscribers, just like, hey, enjoyed the video, love your story times, wish you would upload more, can't wait to see that video. Just normal everyday type of comments, like there's nothing unusual. And then I had shared with you guys my email. So I had put the questions for Shay email, I think at the end of 2020 or beginning of 2021, something like that, is when I had created the questions for Shay Gmail. And that is when she reached out to me and let me know that she worked for this company. I am going to keep the company nameless because it is not their fault. She did actually work for this company, and she told me that she thought that it would be really cool if I worked with them on creating a podcast, and the first season would be strictly paranormal, and there would be like little pieces of other content in there, but we would go to actual sites and film the podcast, etc. And I was very much into that whole vibe. I was like, that's dope as hell. Like, the subscribers will love it. All of my subscribers are into the paranormal. One of my biggest videos to blow up on my channel is the red door, yellow door video and my paranormal story times. So that will be really dope. They'll really like it. We start having super normal conversation. And then me and a fellow subscriber, Claire, just started to notice some suspect activity. Now, I'm going to say that I did not let Claire know who this person, I didn't let her know that this person was also a psychic or claiming to be a psychic, etc. Fast forward, she then starts to work hand in hand with the person who is my spiritual advisor. And as we're working together, I started to get really weird vibes because in the beginning, she was getting so much wrong. It was really hard for me to believe that she was indeed psychic because she got so much wrong. And now looking back, I realized she was watching my story times and going off of things that I had said in this story time. So she would have some details right, but no more details than a genuine person might be able to guess. Okay. She knew no names, etc., etc. So I started leaving her on red because after talking to my spiritual advisor, she then says, oh, well, I've known her for a while. I've worked with her before. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, I feel more comfortable. At this time, I didn't know that the time that they had worked together, it wasn't in the same way of which they were working with me. Oh, yes, baby. So they were working with me on this podcast. I told you guys that it was a docu-series because I wanted to keep it a surprise of what was coming with the podcast. But really and truly, it was a podcast. And when the first episode came, we decided I did not feel comfortable having her in the house because we had a virtual conversation and she was saying some things that creeped me out, and I really don't want to bring them up because her energy when I was talking to her at that time really brought a negative energy in my aura, and I just don't want to bring that back up. But she just started to say some weird things, and my spiritual advisor then came to me the day after, because we ended up filming the first podcast episode. And my spiritual advisor ended up emailing me the day after and telling me, I have a very bad feeling about this person. I did not know that this person was a subscriber of mine that had been following me for years. I'm talking like from my original YouTube channel. Like back in the day, I had a channel called Morgan's Beauty Corner. It was 2017-18 era. And that person was so mean to me back then and left me the worst comments. They left me one comment in particular that I will never forget. They told me that I needed to jump off of a bridge and knock all of my teeth out. Therefore, I could get free teeth. Like, so bad that I deleted that channel altogether, deleted every single video, and eventually Chris ended up paying someone to get it taken down. Like very, very much traumatic comments left underneath videos. And it wouldn't happen until my spiritual advisor started to get concerned. And you guys know that I have a tech person who works for me, and I sent him the information. He ran the IP address, and as soon as he sent me all the usernames underneath that IP address, I immediately knew who it was. And there's something dark inside of this person, 100%. And it eventually got to the point to where I was so much in a dark place. Me and this brand completely fell off. And the podcast did not happen. Obviously, you guys know that. People kept asking, where's the podcast? Where's the podcast? Where's the podcast? And anytime I would hear the podcast, I got this anxiety and just dark feeling inside of me. And I knew that this person had clung some type of dark energy on me. I knew that deep inside my soul. I knew she's definitely used some type of dark magic on me. Like, I can feel it. And time marches on. My spiritual advisor ends up telling me, you have got either an entity or some type of generational curse or dark magic on you. I can feel it on you. Guys, when I tell you that that spiraled me into one of the darkest depressions of my life, I am not lying to you. It was so bad, I stopped posting on social media basically on everything. I didn't post on anything. I went probably one video a month here on YouTube. It's literally sucked every bit of life out of me that existed. And finally, last month, I ended up going to the doctor, getting remedicated like I've needed to for a long time, and had a full cleanse. of my spirit, and I've come to acceptance, and I've cleared my energy and my aura, and I'm in such a better place where I'm at right now. And I'm so excited to be here 1 year later after the original podcast was announced with episode number 1 of And So It Goes with Morgan Shay. I'm so excited to be here with you guys. I really, really, really hope you guys fuck with this podcast as much as I do. The 5 episodes are going to be every Saturday. So this is the first test episode. There's going to be 4 more. I would love to do them for my members only. So if you like the podcast and you like it, be sure to hit the join button down below. Also, if you would like to support the channel, because AdSense is nothing for someone with a channel size like mine. As of right now, I do not get paid really from YouTube. You have to have $100 to even cash out from YouTube, and I'm nowhere near it. So if you'd like to support the channel, you can cash at me at MorganShay33. I would appreciate it so much. It is super duper helpful. Or you can send thanks or super chats as well here on YouTube. But yeah, be sure that you do join the membership program so that you can join the podcast, and you'll be the first one. After the 5 episodes, we're going to start uploading it on SoundCloud, but my YouTube members will get it 2 days early. So if you're part of the membership program, you're still going to get it early. And when merch comes out in October, you guys are going to get the first pick on that. You're going to get it a month early. So anyways, I love you guys so much. I hope you guys enjoyed episode number 1. I had so much fun hanging out with you guys tonight, and I'm so glad that we're here with And So It Goes. This is just something I've always wanted, and I have a different topic for every week. And yeah, I'm just super excited, you guys. I'm happier than a pig in shit. Also, update on the laptop, bitch. We got it fixed. Do not fuck with me. Do not fuck with me and my subscribers, honey. You guys were immediately in my emails like, do this, 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 and this. It'll pop right up, and you bitches are right. I love you guys so much. Thank you all for stopping by. You all are the best motherfuckers in the game. Happy July 4th. I hope you guys have a very, very safe July 4th. Uber, do not drive. It is not worth it in the slightest to risk your and other innocent people around you's life. Uber, taxi, call a hoe, call your sneaky link, do the things, and get your ass home safely, okay? I love you guys so much, and until the very next episode, bye, babies.